That's pretty neat. It's actually one thing I heard somewhere. I forget where. I think I told you this that like when a woman's born or conceived, I guess, or even born, all of their eggs are already there, right? So when a child of a woman has a baby, that baby was all the way back, all the generations through all the moms. Because you were born with the eggs that she was born with the eggs if she has babies that will be used for that. You were born with yours from your mom. She was born with hers from her mom. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying? You're looking at me like I've lost my mind.
I have to I'd have to look that biology up. I don't know
I
about
don't know
that.
where I heard it,
I
whether
don't
I
know
heard it
about
from
that.
like a reliable source or it was just like, oh, the internet.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
I think it might have been a doctor that said it, like one of
I'd
those.
still have to look that up to read it myself.
I think we look it
I
up.
love you, but let's look it up.
All right. I think we should look it up. Chat GPT?
We can chat GPT it. That's fine.
Perfect.
See if she knows the answer.
So here we are. Great to chat with you all. Hey, welcome back to She Said, She Said with Pam and Deb. I am back in the chair after last week.
Yeah.
It is good to be here. I am Pam Pryor. I'm a CFO, author, speaker, and I balance the books.
And I'm Deb Reinhardt, a corporate worker.
Corporate worker.
Corporate worker, meditation teacher, an executive coach, and I mostly balance Pam.
That is actually
Sometimes.
true.
Mostly. Yeah, a lot.
Mostly true. So a funny story
the-
just to start, because
Yeah.
we were sitting here and Francis said, "Oh my gosh, our shower door just shattered this
Tempered
morning
glass out of the blue, just
out
shattered.
of nowhere. Kaboom!" And I remembered this story.
We immediately went to that story.
Do you want to tell it? Because it was
Yeah.
pretty funky.
Yeah, we were so you were outside, right?
Mhm.
You were outside
I was cutting
doing
the
like
lawn or
lawn
something.
mowing or
Yep.
something. Yeah. And we were and we had a
Music was blaring.
There was music. Yeah.
We did that a lot.
Annie Lennox,
Mhm.
blaring music, and we had a screen door with glass
Mhm.
that was, from our porch out
Mhm.
to where you were doing the
And we
lawn
hadn't put
mowing.
the screens in yet, so the
Hadn't put
glass
the
was
screen
still
in. The
in.
glass was still in, and she started with dun 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 dun. And it was like the Walking on Broken Glass song.
Walking on broken glass.
And it feels just like I'm walking on broken glass. And then the entire glass fell out of the door and shattered all over the thing. It was like
It was
she was calling it into
unbelievable. And
being
where I was standing, it shattered like around me.
you. It didn't hit
So
you.
I was literally walking on broken glass.
Yeah, you were literally on.
And it was weird because it was almost like it just like splayed out as if it fell in one piece.
Yes.
But it fell in shards.
No.
Or shattered.
It shattered into shards, but
As
it
it
did
went.
fall in one piece.
But it like all the shards fell like in the shape of the door.
It was bizarre.
And then we were walking on broken glass and we looked at each other like.
And then for years after that, whenever that song came on, we changed the channel. Like we would change the channel.
We're in the car
because we're looking at what could possibly break.
What could shatter?
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't playing in the background, Francis?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Yeah,
It wasn't, but oh my God, that was the first time I knew there was like some higher order.
Some higher order.
Yeah, that's something I started to appreciate.
Silly spirit trying to mess with your mojo.
Bingo.
Yeah.
But somebody with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That had to be the case. So yeah, that's true. I guess I think that more and more as I get older too.
Yeah.
How about you? Is your
But there's-
spirituality or your, I don't know what you want to call it,
Yeah, spirituality. is a good
connection
word.
kind of grown as you've aged?
Yeah, I do think so.
Aged. I hate that word.
As
As you've aged.
matured.
There you guys, you've matured.
Yeah, I think it has. My sense of it is definitely changed, right? So I think when I was younger, it was much more, what you learn, what you learn in
Like by the
Sunday
book.
school, by the book.
Mhm.
And I think now it's much more what I feel
Mhm.
and what I experience and how I imagine the world. Yeah.
I think I'd probably say the same. So I grew up Christian in a bunch of different Christian religions like Anglican, Methodist, Baptist,
Not religions.
Episcopalian.
Those are denominations.
Yeah, the denominations.
Yes.
Thank you. United Church of Christ. So
Yeah,
as
you did 'em
we
all.
moved around, we did them all. And the one common thread was always the music, right? And through the music is how I learned most of the Bible because I fell asleep during the sermons or
Yeah, you and your
played or
daughter.
whatever. But so my whole concept of an other was just God, because that's, like you said, that's what we learned.
Yeah.
And then I guess it really wasn't until I was much older, I'd say in my 50s, before I started to see and connect different things. Like I remember Angela called me the woo woo CFO,
Yeah.
because I actually started to like look at things like Abraham Hicks, or um, all of the literature, all the way back to the guy who wrote that first book. Well,
Napoleon Hill,
not the
Thinking.
first book. First
Napoleon
book
Hill, The
was,
Think
yeah,
and Grow
Napoleon
Rich.
Hill, Think
Yeah.
and Grow Rich. The first book was probably written back in the medieval, or by the BCs. I don't know if they wrote on what they wrote on back then, but the philosophies have been there forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I realized they're all the same. Like not
Yeah.
all, but
Well,
generally the same.
there's there if you think abstractly enough,
Hmm.
there's a common thread
Right,
that you can see throughout a lot of different religions.
right. And then the dots started to connect for me at that point. So
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of cool thing about getting older, is that that perspective has broadened.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what else has jumped out at you as kind of a cool thing as you've gotten older.
A cool thing as I've
Yeah,
gotten
a
older.
couple of cool things. I can think of a
I
couple.
think I I I give fewer fucks.
Ah, yes,
I
I love
think when
that.
I was younger,
Gave way too many.
I gave way too many.
You're not saying
I
something because you give several fucks still.
I
It's true.
do. I do, but
It
like
was a lot more.
it was a lot
Mhm.
more. I think I spent a lot of years
Energy.
and a lot of energy contorting myself to meet
Mhm.
expectations of other people.
I think we probably, I did that too. I
Yeah.
think I still do a little bit, but I've gotten much more aware of it.
Yeah.
Much more aware of it, and I've gotten more. I mean, the words selfish. I guess like I'll now go. Whereas before I might not have said no, I really don't want to do that. Now I'll say it.
What so self-care matters.
Yeah,
Like I think
boundaries.
there's an appreciation that yeah, you have to nobody else is going to take care of you. You got to
Right.
take care of you.
For those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. And in my business, I
Yeah.
can see many more boundaries than I had before, and it just makes for much peaceful life. The other thing I think, maybe it's the same as giving a few fucks, is I had to be right. Like up until I was
Oh.
about 35, I knew everything. Like
Yeah.
if you're wondering who the smartest person in
She
the
was the
world
one.
was
She
in
was the one when I met her.
what,
She
the
was the one.
1990s, that it was
Yeah.
me. I knew everything
Yeah.
in my little head. And I would fight things to the death.
All the things.
Like with
You would fight
work in
all the
particular,
things.
work in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would just take it to the end because I had to be right. And I don't know when that let go, but boy, was that freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun not having to be right.
Unbelievable the
Like
freedom that comes with it.
when you just allow somebody else to have it, it
Yeah.
feels really really kind of
Especially
good.
when you were as black and white as I was.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was no gray area.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah, you're right. It's just so much easier. Number one, you learn a lot more.
Well, you do. I think you become more open
Hmm.
to other people's ideas.
Yeah. And that a lot of times it's just perspective. You're saying
Yeah.
the same thing with different
Yeah.
perspectives.
And so so that's the thing I think, when you look back and when you like even you look at you look at our kids,
Hmm.
there's a lot of the world is still like they see fewer shades of gray than we see. I feel like they see fewer
Yeah, that's a
shades of
youth
gray.
thing, I think.
Yeah.
I do think that's
Yeah.
a youth thing. And that's just because you haven't seen all the stuff yet. And I
Right.
think it's kind of good and bad about being older is like you see more stuff, so you know more. Like you know that things aren't as black and white as they're cut out to be, or as. But on the other hand, and that's kind of nice for you. But on the other hand, it's really hard to see people struggle with what you struggled with,
Yeah.
and you can't. They have to go through it themselves.
But like I do think on the flip side, you lose some of the the beauty of
Idealism.
idealism. The feeling that things could really be really good,
I'm going to put a
really
twist on
better.
that and say it's not necessarily lost idealism. It's a broader perspective with more possibilities. It's because it's not idealism to say everybody will be happy with the things I'm happy with. That's
Yeah.
just silly.
Yeah.
But we don't know that when we're 18. But now I can say, oh, I can really get along with a whole bunch of people, not because I contort myself, but because I can listen and appreciate that it's not black and white, and there is a different perspective,
Yeah.
and there is common ground. That's actually my big theme these
Yeah.
days.
I know it is. I know it is.
Is there's more common ground than not, and I think knowing that's just so much more peaceful. But then when
Does
you
it in some cases, does that also cause you to become a little less active? And I mean like active for change, right? So if
different
if
active,
you know it's a different active. Like I feel like there's something about holding an ideal that makes you want to fight for change, fight for things to be better, fight for things
I
to
think
be
that's what it is. I don't want to
versus
fight anymore.
when you get to that position where you're like, it's all cycles, it's all gonna come around. You're like
Obviously, I'm not
you have that
saying that
sense.
though. That's not the position at all.
Mm,
What I'd say is we've been gay our whole marriage. But since we're both gay, right? So we met in the 90s
yes.
and early 90s, and it
Early
wasn't
90s.
as accepted a thing back then. And we didn't go out and carry banners and fight the fight. We just
No,
lived
but
our
people did.
lives. People did,
People
right? But
did.
I'm saying
But
it's
people
not.
did so that we could live more easily. Yeah, no, that yes,
I
I think they did.
Oh, see, well, first of all, yeah, people in the 70s and 80s, absolutely, like what they had to go through was horrific. I'm not downplaying that at all, but I'm saying that once you got to the 90s and you were already standing on those people's shoulders, which we were, we had a much easier time of
Sure
it.
we did.
And we chose not, well, I chose, maybe I shouldn't speak for you, not to go out and carry the banners and scream things and make people change their ways. Instead, we just lived our normal, boring married life, and people caught on and changed their minds. And the place I think about that most incredibly happening was at Christchurch in Ridley Park.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in the a very conservative area
Very blue collar conservative area.
of Philadelphia, and we had a house in a neighborhood, and we clearly lived together. And at church, it was pretty funny because they all just assumed we were friends because it never occurred to
Yeah.
them. And wonderful people. Like, we were in a Bible study, we had it at our house. We loved the ladies were probably in their 60s,
Oh gosh.
70s,
Yeah,
I'm
60s
guessing,
or 70s.
and we were in the choir and all the things. And then Deb got pregnant, and I remember that it hit them. Oh my God, these are lesbians, and we don't care. And I don't think there's any other way that would have ever hit their radar screen than the way we happened to do that.
Yeah.
Is it easier and less hassly? Sure, but we also couldn't have done it, to your point,
Right. Right.
if the 70s and 80s
Right.
hadn't done it.
So
But
so I'm wondering to some degree, are we sitting at one of those junctures now?
well, we could be, but here's my thing.
Yeah.
What I want to do is active. Tend to believe that the only way anything's going to happen is if we get rid of the polarization, identify the common ground, and then say, okay, now we've identified the common ground. What are the things we can give on? What are the things we can't give on? And let's actually talk about them, as opposed to what's happening now, which is just total polarity. And I think that's more important than carrying a banner, because all carrying a banner is going to do right now. But no, I'm not going to say it's more important. Equally as important, because the marches and the noise are critical.
Yeah, they are.
I don't mean to downplay them at all, but it's also continues to polarize. At the same time that we're making our points, or people are out there making points, I think we need to figure out how to make it work. Just making our points on both sides of a spectrum that's so far apart isn't going to
Yeah.
progress
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, there's no desire, there's no understanding what the end game
Yeah.
is.
Because everybody's going back to my toy. Everybody's right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's just not a right. So I don't think it's just like I'm going, oh, it's just cycles and I'll let it work its way out at all. It's what needs to be done to fix things.
Yeah.
You got to get along. Anything else about getting old that you like?
Anything else about getting old that I like?
Older.
Older. that I like.
Maturing, as we say.
I think I like the idea of becoming a grandma. I'm not saying like it has to happen immediately, but I love the idea of
Grandmomming.
life coming back around again.
That's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
in a different way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an exciting idea.
That's pretty neat. It's actually one thing that I heard somewhere. I forget where. I think I told you this that like when a woman's born or conceived, I guess, or even born, all of their eggs are already there, right? So when a child of a woman has a baby, that baby was all the way back, all the generations through all the moms. Because you were born with the eggs that she was born with the eggs if she has babies that will be used for that. You were born with yours from your mom. She was born with hers from her mom. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying? You're looking at me like I've lost my mind.
I have to I'd have to look that biology up. I don't know.
I don't know where I heard it.
I
Whether
don't
I
know
heard it
about
from
that.
like a reliable source or it was just like, oh, the internet.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
I think it might have been a doctor that said it, like one of
I'd
those.
still have to look that up to read it myself.
I think we look it
I
up.
love you, but let's look it up.
All right. I think we should look it up. ChatGPT?
We can chat GPT it. That's fine.
Perfect.
See if she knows the answer.
So here we are. Great to chat with you all on today's topic.
Somebody has to go to work.
The good stuff about aging. Oh yeah, what I do is not work apparently.
It's
But Deb has
fun.
to go to work. So you make sure like and subscribe here. Tell us what you like about getting older, whether you're turning 30 or you're turning 60 or you're turning 90. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
That's
No. I will say this. For the idea for folks who are thinking about what's like to get older. Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a podcast.
What's it called?
I can't remember the name of it. What's the
you'll look
name
it
of
up.
her What's the name of her
Well,
podcast?
they'll drop it in. They'll drop it in the
drop
notes.
it in because it's really cool. She talks to other women about the idea of getting older.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's really been interesting to hear the people that she interviews and what their
We'll have
life
to check that
experience
out.
is
Well,
like.
there you go. Check that out,
Yeah.
but like and subscribe us because
To
we
us,
just talked
yeah,
about
sorry.
it too. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.
See ya.